Good morning and welcome to Open Conversation on Atlantic Television Network. Open Conversation is the network's flagship political platform through which trending political news, events and stories are discussed with stakeholders. Through these conversations, ATN uses political talks about specific issues, party system and actor to explore hope and engender positive impact to the society. Today on Open Conversation, we look at the stories. First, Rivers State. Assembly rejects 4 Fubara nominees. And still on Rivers State, Ibiyomi claims spiritual role in Wike's emergence. And on party politics, reps propose 10 million naira fine for dual membership. On PDP crisis, Wike says that PDP will negotiate from a place of strength. Still on PDP, party schedules national convention for March 29 to 30. And ahead of elections in 2027, ADC launches One ADC movement. We are open for sponsorship of the program, advert placements, news, events, coverage, and commercials. Watch us live on our websites, www.atlanticnetwork.tv, on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. You can also watch us on Avo TV, Niger TV, and Efastech TV platform. You can connect with us on our ATN socials by subscribing, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, and on X, Atlantic TV Net. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll delve right into the show. Do not go away. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Chizi Nyomasla. Chizi Nyomasla is a regular on Open Conversation. He's a political analyst, a member of Rivers State APC State Executive Council, and also the leader of ICU Group. Good morning, Chizi, and welcome.
Good morning, Dorisha. Good morning, Nigerians. And
then on to the story. Rivers State House of Assembly has declined confirmation of 4 commissioner nominees sent by Governor Similaye Fubara after hours of screening at the Assembly quarters in Port Harcourt. The session, which was broadcast live, saw lawmakers grill the nominees on issues ranging from qualifications to past public statements. While 5 nominees were cleared, Datoye Alaska, TKD Amakri, Charity Demois and Tamuno Williams failed to secure confirmation. Lawmakers cited several reasons for the decision, including controversies surrounding documents, tax compliance, and petitions against some nominees. Tamuno Williams faced questions over his public criticism of the Assembly during the state's political crisis, leading to a tense exchange with Speaker Martin Amehule. Meanwhile, TKD Amakri's nomination was stepped down after lawmakers revealed that more than 15 petitions had been filed against him over alleged involvement in community disputes. Charity Demois was rejected after admitting she had not paid taxes since 2018, explaining she had no job as a politician. A response that drew strong reactions from lawmakers. At the end of the exercise, the Assembly confirmed 5 nominees and urged the governor to swear them in while withholding approval for the remaining 4, citing poor performance and unresolved concerns raised during the screening. Chizi, what is your take on this?
Well, let me first say kudos to the vibrant assembly that we now have. You know, firstly is to say that they are screening. This is the first time in Rivers State, in the history of Rivers State, where the commissioners were screened live on television. It has never happened. And you know, bringing them live on television means that they want to be transparent. They want the people to make their choices. It also has a way of influencing some certain persons because, of course, you know they are speaking to the world, you know, via that this thing. I understand that some were asked to recite the second stanzas of the national anthem. I can tell you that some of the lawmakers there, if you ask them to recite that, they
cannot recite it.
It's not an easy thing for, especially given the fact that we just introduced this new one. You know, but that's not the case. What I wanted to say is I wanted to take them one after the other, especially those that were screened out. You know, I can tell you that they are actually not screened out. The governor can represent them. The governor have a right to represent them, being satisfied that they may have satisfied all the queries that the assembly has raised. One of the things is that they said the professor, you know, who came on board has some inconsistencies with his name. It's a very serious matter. You know why it is serious? I know that I have been under heavy fire for 2-3 days, and I want Nigerians to hear it again. You know that in 1998-99, during the elections that brought in Right Honorable Chibike Memechi as assembly member, that INEC declared Uche Okuku as the assembly member from the APP. It was in court that Amechi won. And why? Or from which ground did he win? Technicalities. Uche Okuku's name was written Uche O. And that could be another person's name. Those inconsistencies. So we need to be careful because when it goes to those kind of things, and I think that the assembly is doing well because you see, have you imagined that there are people who have been local government chairman, assembly members, or sometimes even commissioners and ministers, and they go to a higher office and somebody picks them, and they begin to begin to catch them on things that they were qualified for, that people didn't look at thoroughly. So the assembly is also doing work for all of us because they are doing their work thoroughly to look at those things. I'm sure that the man is, I think he's the deputy chief medical officer of the UPTH, and this kind of inconsistency has not been dictated. I just hope that he goes to ratify them because those are serious legal matters. Then on the issue of the charity, it's a very laughable thing because to say that you're a politician, in fact, if you're a politician, that's the real reason why
you must pay
tax. You know what she's saying? That it looks like politics.
That she does not. She said she's a politician, and at the same time says she doesn't have a job. So technically, politics is not a career.
Yes,
however, it's not okay. One would say payments. If it's not a career, which means I don't understand. Well, I think. Don't you think that actually is a reality that should be looked into? Because a lot of politicians, just like she has posited that she doesn't have a job, or she's a politician, but doesn't have a job. So whatever money is given to her in the course of politicking is a handout and not a payment. So if you come from that angle, would you say she was mistaken in her position?
No, see, let me say this. In the first instance, there are 3 types of politicians you see on the street. There are those some of us who have taken it as job. There are those who are part-time, who does have anything. There are people who just feel that being a politician is following politics. Now, if she had played politics to the extent that she will be nominated as commissioner, it means that she's lying to herself. The only thing is that she has evaded tax. If you're a politician, part of the thing you need to be careful about is all of these tax, certain things, because I tell people that one of the times I was reading about the parable of Jesus Christ that has to do with the man who asks people to go invite people from outside who weren't invited originally in the wedding banquet. And they brought the guy, and one of them wasn't putting on the wedding gown. He said the master came in and found out that this one wasn't putting on the wedding gown. So I started calling him. I mean, this guy was invited by the roadside. So why would you call him for not putting on the wedding gown? He wasn't invited ab initio. But I found out that the reason is that he was not prepared. He was waiting for the wedding, but he was not prepared for the wedding. If you're a politician, you are prepared, you are waiting for this thing. She lobbied for it. Whether she likes it or not. She wasn't just going to, they didn't put up some of her professionalism, because of course, if she was working somewhere, like the medical person, we have said, okay, they can, because of his profession, they want to bring in experience into it. But she is a politician, like she also confessed that she's a politician. Meaning that as a politician, she wasn't prepared. That is, politicians who are in that her right should know how to be prepared. There is a Boy Scout motto that says, be prepared always. So that's in that angle. But there is this one that gets me very interesting. And that is the man that he said his nomination was turned down because of his position before, about the assembly. Russia, I will speak it the way I know. It may not be true, but that's the way I know.
All right.
It has happened before in Rivers State. Professor Lapiki now was nominated as commissionership nominee in 1993, between that time. And the majority of the assembly members here, there, which Amechi was presiding, were those that was with him in school. And said, this man that used to deal with us anywhere in school, we wouldn't accept him. As much as we know that they should be careful with their past, one would ask, what has his position got to do with his nomination? What are you saying? Are you saying that everybody must be in tune with Speaker Martin Zamehule and Assembly? No, that's not. The beauty of democracy is that you have diverse voices. The fact that the opinion he holds, that the Supreme Court rules otherwise, does not make him unqualified. No. So are you saying that all the lawyers that went contrary to a judgment that was given against them are no longer good? You see law from your perspective. The man would have seen he has his stand, he has somebody he's standing for, whether he was right or wrong. And again, that brings to question the reconciliation. Before this time, people had there were people for sin. I'm not. So I didn't need to support him in anything. I'm not for sin. There are people for Martin Zamehule. Now for reconciliation, if you have reconciled with the governor, it means that shouldn't matter again. That shouldn't matter.
Interesting.
That one shouldn't matter. That shouldn't be an issue. Because in a matter of war, people fight with all manner of bullets. Some people argue from sentiment, some people argue from innocently what's the facts available before them. Innocently. They may be arguing, but you don't know that that's what they have. Because you can't argue more than what you know. So he has taken a position, and in that position, there was a reconciliation. So Steve Fubara was representing all of those who had voices against you. You were representing all of those who had voices against him. Here we are. That shouldn't be an issue.
So you think, in your opinion, that that stepping down one of the commissioner nominees because of the contrary position he held against the assembly was a witch hunt by you feel it's retaliatory by the assembly?
Yes, maybe that word, but I want to use...
You don't want to use the word witch hunt, probably retaliatory.
No, I believe that wasn't wisdom enough. That wasn't good enough. That was not reconciliation. That's not in the spirit of reconciliation. That's actually not in the spirit of reconciliation. To have even mentioned it, and I can say to Martin that to have even mentioned it openly is not good. You don't say, so what is the constitutional infringement? What is the legal infringement on him? So that means you didn't, what's it called? You didn't screen him, or you didn't approve his screening purely on bias.
And that bias is infringement on his fundamental human rights.
Right of association.
The right to expression.
Express opinion.
Because it is opinion based in
It's
this instance.
opinion based. Somebody, I would have asked him what the same way, that banter would have happened even though I was presiding. That banter would have happened, and I would have said, now you hold a contrary opinion, isn't it? Because the court has said so. Now, having done that, now you are standing before us. Thank you for coming. That's all.
No, now, on the side of the commissioner nominee, would you say he handled these questions from his what Assembly considered his controversial opinion at the time? Do you think he handled the questioning in that line with wisdom and diplomacy?
No, he did. I can tell you, because they wanted to have a yes or no answer. But he rather said, well, Speaker, I don't think I want to be arguing with the Assembly.
Is that the right answer for that?
That means he holds his conviction. See, there are convictions, because that stage is not a stage to begin to say, no, I was wrong or I was right.
You don't necessarily need to say you were wrong or you were right, because now, if you are going for the position of a commissioner,
yeah.
One of the basic things you should know is proper communication and and diplomacy.
Sure.
Right? And one would have expected that if that question comes up about your earlier position prior to reconciliation, your critique of the Assembly, you can answer from the point of your conviction while being diplomatic about it. Not Speaker, I wouldn't want to argue with the Assembly. That would take at that moment, it's even kind of, I wouldn't use it as deflective, but one would be like, diplomatically, if one wanted to answer that question diplomatically, while still maintaining your conviction, you can tell the Speaker that was the position you held, and you take responsibility for your words because they are your convictions. However, Speaker, Rivers State has transited from that crisis and we are now at peace. So I am of the understanding that, just like you said, both camps are now at peace, and genuinely I respect the Assembly, and that is why I am here. To that regard. Now, whatever position they take at that moment, stepping you down, even after your answer, because now, first of all, you critiqued the Assembly, right? The governor did recognize the Assembly. You said, oh, the Assembly does not exist. Martin Samuel is not the Speaker of the House, right? He had all that, or let's say, for example, you had all that position.
Yeah.
That was the position you took. You said Okojombo is the Speaker we know. Martin Samuel we do not know. Now, reconciliation, Supreme Court judgment has come. Reconciliation has come. And after all that you said, you are presently acknowledging the same people you did not acknowledge at that point.
Yes.
Now, that goes to show, that's what I'm saying. Instead of the man saying, Speaker, I wouldn't want to argue with you or the Assembly at this point. This is where his argument, that is where diplomacy and wisdom comes in. This is where his argument would have come in, that even as much as the fact that I took these positions, yes, at that stage, that was what I believed, and I stand by it. However, where we are right now, I believe we have transited from that point. When you would have met that, now what you're telling them by your statements now is, as much as I stand by the governor and he has my full support, I fully recognize the Rivers State House of Assembly. Now, do you understand? And I stand by the Supreme Court judgment.
Please.
At that moment,
please,
don't you think people will now sit as witch hunts?
No, see, even the question is a witch hunting. You don't even need to answer. Bringing up that on board is a full witch hunting. Of course, let me tell you something. When we begin to raise up issues, when you are coming from a war front, both from the Speaker, the governor did not recognize the Speaker, isn't it? Is that correct? But he submitted. Now
he has recognized the Speaker.
No, excuse me. He submitted. Let me start from there.
Yes.
He submitted his commissioner's nominee. That action alone what that action says is, you are my speaker.
Of course.
Is that correct?
Correct.
The action of inviting somebody for the nomination says, you are my speaker. In a tense situation, where you know you are coming from a very tense situation, that you are coming from that, even the assembly is not supposed to raise that kind of question.
It should have been the
It should have been on his qualifications and
pure qualification,
and all of that. All of this is bias.
So
you know that I speak for
that question from the assembly was still more like stoking embers of conflict.
Now again, let me say this. You see, the way you communicate is not the same way I communicate. Do you understand that? Now, even if for me, I tell people that in leadership, you must grow above biases. Even if you are my sworn enemy, and I want to make you fail, I will pick you on issues. It will be things that will look biased.
It will be pettiness.
It will be pettiness. I will take you all on there. So for me, I'm looking at them now because I mean, they know me. I'm saying that disqualifying him based on that whole issue of
that was more like an infringement on his fundamental
yes,
because that was the position he held at the time.
Yes,
and he should have been respected.
They also held their own position. Right? Everybody should be respected. Do you understand that? So if they say they have reconciled and we're coming back, all of that should be bygone.
It shouldn't come up.
Every other thing should be based on qualification, on your capacity to work, what you can do, what you're bringing on the table, or if you can. Look at all of these other persons that they pinch gold. All of us say that's correct. Is that correct? But for this one, maybe I'm really a lone voice, but I'm telling you, okay, I'm a lone voice from their own camp. You know what I mean by that? Saying that no, that's not it. You don't bring that down because you are also raising sentiment, suspicious around the street. On the street, you are raising
people will now begin to think there are still cracks in the wall.
No, there are no cracks. People will say, oh, there are cracks. That's why this thing is happening. No, now. I'm going to begin to see the assembly as unforgiving. That's not good. That's not good.
Very well. And then the last person that was disqualified based on, they said, numerous petitions.
Oh, sure. Yes.
Because of his activities, his involvement in community crisis.
Yes. Let me, I want to discuss. I don't know why that's skipped me because you, Lorisha, was
somehow it's always about me. I know.
Let me tell you about that. As much as we in Nigeria, you are not guilty until a court of competent decision find you guilty. But the assembly is representing the people. The assembly is also looking up to re-elections and all of that. And so the same people you are representing is writing a petition up to 11 to 15 petition. The assembly didn't disqualify him. They just say, let's take them and look at this petition because it's dangerous to go ahead. You know why? Why it is dangerous is maybe people are also afraid that this man who has been involved in this community crisis and all of that will want to use this position now.
If he enters the corridors of power,
he will use it against us. Now, so let's just so they will begin to ask certain questions. So all I ask assembly is give it back to the governor and say, please do some findings or forward those petitions to the DSS to look at what is happening. Or you also go and investigate it. Because you see, I told you, whether you like it or not, yes, commissionership may be appointment, it's also elective because we're in democracy. Whichever person you bring in a commissioner helps some electoral impetus, brings electoral impetus into bear. So if you are bringing in somebody that more than 11 petitions or 15 petitions is already there, be careful. So I think that's, but the way I want to give them kudos is that they were on air, it was transparent. So now we know which is their weakness and which is their strength.
Yes.
So they are vibrant.
All right, very well. Moving forward, founder of Salvation Ministries, Pastor David Ebiomi, has claimed he played a spiritual role in the emergence of Nyesom Wike as governor of Rivers State. Speaking during a sermon at the church's headquarters in Port Harcourt, the cleric said Wike approached him for prayers when legal challenges threatened his governorship ambition. Ebiomi said, At the time, Wike had lost at the High Court and the Court of Appeal, and a Supreme Court ruling was expected to go against him. According to the pastor, he called Wike while he was in Israel and assured him that God would intervene, declaring that even if the judgment went against him, it would be turned in his favor. The cleric further claimed that the Supreme Court decision eventually favored Wike, and he was the only pastor invited to the Thanksgiving service that followed. Ibiomi also alleged that he prayed for Wike again during his re-election bid, saying he made a personal covenant with God on the politician's behalf, after which the election outcome also turned in Wike's favor.
I mean, this is his testimony. Well, in election, we have different angles to election. In 2019, I can't claim that I made Wike governor because I didn't vote for him. Right? So those of them who voted for him could also say we made Wike governor because it's not all the angles. People voted for him. There are some persons who donated money. But on this spiritual angle, I'm a little bit careful with that. You know why I'm careful? Not because I'm afraid. I'm careful because it's something personal that I wasn't there when it happened. You know, the onus of defense is on the pastor who has said so. So it is wicked to say, no, I never called him, or I called him. Now, but again, I don't know why that is coming up on public discourse, because for me...
Because he brought it up on public discourse, and he didn't just mention Wike, he also mentioned Amici.
That's what I'm saying.
And also said
it's
he
part
played
of his testimony.
Bible, testimony what?
In his church.
Now, let's look at that testimony, right?
Yes.
Because when you come out to say things publicly,
in the
going
church.
by publicly.
Yes, it's in the church.
Is church not public?
No, that's
it's private.
He's preaching. I don't know what that
private?
means.
It is public.
No, he's preaching.
And yes, it's a political story. So we are going to examine it, regardless of who says what, right?
No, it doesn't matter.
Now, in the first instance, he claimed spiritual role in Wike's emergence, and also claimed spiritual role in Amechi's emergence. Now, basically, he has told us that in political matters, probably he is on speed dial to God, and that is able to turn the tides against you somehow. You know, the Supreme Court judges are not smart enough that they will sleep and wake up, an angel will go and tell them to change the judgment. Now, I listened very carefully to everything he said. Now, when he was saying that, something came to my mind, and I want to ask you that question. During the River State crisis, last year, when the issue of the local government elections went to courts, up until Supreme Court, recall that all the local government chairmen that won under APP, or under Governor Fubara, they went with Governor Fubara to Salvation Ministries that time for prayers and thanksgiving. And they knew there was judgment coming that week. And just like he claimed that Mechi went to see him, and Wike also, you know, called him when Supreme Court judgment was coming. Fubara's local government chairman went with Fubara to that effect as well when judgment was coming. How come this time around they got that worked for Wike and Amechi did not work for Fubara's own? And the same angel that upturned their Supreme Court judgments, even if it was certain against them, did not upturn the one in favor of the local government chairman. It's still the same David Ibiomi. It's still the same access.
First, I never heard him pray for the assembly. I never heard him. I don't know. But I can tell you that in matter of faith, I'm not a professional in matter of faith. It takes also the person you're praying for, his own faith. Maybe the faith of these assembly members didn't join with his faith, and that's all. Because you notice that when he said he prayed for Wike said amen, he prayed for Amechi said amen. Maybe this was this amen. It's just about faith.
I'm not talking about assembly members.
I'm talking about...
You are mentioning assembly members.
Okay, I'm talking about the local government chairman, the APP local government chairman. I said maybe their faith didn't grow well. I don't know about that.
Were you there?
I said maybe. That's why I'm using the word maybe.
So now you're saying that Amechi said amen, Wike said amen. Maybe this was just amen.
That wasn't there. Saying amen is from the heart. That's so. What I'm saying is,
so they will take their time, go there to to pray and believe that he's God, who is a political God that that influences Supreme Court decisions. They went there and when the same person that they went to seek spiritual intervention for prayed for them, they won't say amen. I mean, how funny is that?
2 people went and gave offering to God. 2 people, Cain and Abel. And God accepted this offering and rejected the offering. 2 people went to the same God. So, and when this other one asked, he said, if you had done well, would I have not accepted your own offering? That means there is a court in his faith level.
Really? Okay, let us go by this.
This
biblical submission.
Yes.
Last time I also checked, when God wanted to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And Abraham was intervening, and God said, if I find one faithful man, if I find 10, if I find, and God could not find, and at some point Abraham had to intervene for Lot. Now, if I should come from there, God said, if I find, even if it is one, I will not destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. If we bring it down to real life, you are looking at 23 local government chairmen
and they didn't find one
with the governor.
No, the governor was on his own.
No, with the governor, right? Now, Supreme Court judgment did not favor the governor.
No, that was...
With regards to governors only, it was a political intervention by the president, which, to the best of my knowledge, it had nothing to do with David Ibiomi. No. It had everything to do with the people that it had to do with. I don't want to go there. Now, the 23 local government chairmen, God could not find... No, let me not say God. The political God that David Ibiomi was referring to could not find one person out of the 23 local government chairmen.
That is what I'm telling you.
Make it make sense to me, please.
Let me tell you something. What I said. The governor went there, assuming I wasn't there. I'm just praising this. The governor went there with the 23 persons, and they all went to pray. You think the governor was praying for them? The governor was praying for his own. Everybody was praying for his own. And he said, Governor, you succeed. Today, Governor has succeeded. No impeachment, he's still there. And this other one didn't succeed because they were not there. You talked about what's it called? That he said, if I find one. He destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because he didn't find one. That means that out of the 23, if he can't find one in a nation, is it 23% that it may be scarce? Maybe in 23, they don't have one. That's what I'm just saying. God said, if I find one, I will save the entire nation. So he came there. If I find one, he didn't find one in any of them. So it's also possible. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is that in the spiritual matters, if you say, oh no, the last time we checked it was the president that intervened. Now, this is a president that has intervened, telling you that sometimes you don't know how spiritual things work. This was a president that intervened once and twice, and they even insulted him. Came back to intervene. So you understand that in spite of, and the president Kudroko is a Yoruba man, that they hate disrespect, came to intervene again. Do you know whether it was God that moved this hand?
No, it wasn't God. It was...
No, you are there.
No, these things are common sense.
No.
Cheese in your masala. You and I know that River State is very, very pivotal to any Nigerian president.
He could use that
number one. Economically, politically, and also River State literally has one of the deepest pockets when it comes to spending for campaigns and politics. So there was need for all of that presidential intervention. I am not, like I said, I am not going to remove the governor.
They remove the governor and put in another person. So if they wanted another person who will spend, what if everybody can ask for the next 6 months? You don't know. So which one is that? So
Martin Samewule will ask for the next 6 months. Now, oh God,
hear me now.
Martin Samewule will ask for the next 6 months. Chizzy, you are a politician and you understand the complexities. And you know the interest of some Leviathans who are not even friends with the FCT minister. there are areas I don't want to go in this political analysis.
Let's go.
They are not friends with the FCT minister,
yes.
and that they know that these Leviathans have also, you know, been merchant crisis, or like say merchant crisis benefactors in
yes.
this River State crisis, even though they have their own states to govern. And they know if Martin Samebule becomes the interim governor to plan for elections, what that means is that the FCT minister has 110% control of the state, which they did not want and which they still did not want.
See,
even though the FCT minister is still working for the APC president.
When it comes, let me tell you something.
Yes, please go ahead.
When it comes to God's matters, I say maybe. Because I wasn't there. Because I don't know. You cannot go and say no. Because you see, the way God does his own thing is different from the way we look at it. I was telling you that if you think it's because they wanted somebody to fund an election that is FOBRA, I can tell you that election in River State can be won, dusted with or without FOBRA.
Now
let me finish.
Go ahead.
We have dusted with or without FOBRA.
Yes.
Now all of the Leviathans that you were saying, a lot of those powerful persons, quote unquote, I didn't say any powerful person because all of those people are not powerful because in River State, as it thinks, who brought FOBRA? Wiki. Today, what is happening this weekend? So it's not about them, but what I tell you is that I don't know. I'm only saying that all of those Leviathans you said can also be brought together because of God. Anything can happen. So I don't want to use the word because I'm not personal assistant to God. I'm not. I'm only saying that it may be God, but for you to come and say no, there's no God hand in this. Who told you that?
Cheesy.
God has a way.
Cheesy.
He does his own thing. He says, let me tell you. God says, I am the one who called the prey from the east. The man from afar, those are Leviathan from afar, to bring about my purpose here. So God can bring those persons from afar to do his purpose, including you speaking for them. You may think that you're working alone. You may think you're working for one sentiment. Maybe God has, but to say that it's another person, all I say is the onus on defense, whether it was the person that will now know whether it was by Ibrahim's prayer. The only thing I don't agree with Pastor Bailey is to say I was the only one, because you don't know whether from the back people also praying and that way elsewhere. You can say I prayed for them, but you can't say I was the only one, because there are persons who are praying. Politicians I know, they will go to you, go to that person, go to that person. But that you prayed.
He said he was the only one that was invited.
I said.
He said he was the only one that was invited.
If he said I was,
he didn't say he was the only one that was praying. He said.
Okay. If he said I was the only one that was invited,
which means that he was the only one that was recognized.
Even at that,
yes,
there is a fault in that. Who told him that he was the only one that was invited? He could take up the sermon. There are other pastors there you may not know.
All right.
People will invite pastors. That's what but.
All right. Well, one would say to a large extent. Nigerian politics is so dirty. Nigerian politics, the waters are so mucky that to a large extent is offensive somewhat to bring to bring God and drag it into whatever is going on. Man-made crisis in Nigerian politics. That is number one. Number two, using politics as advertisements to spiritual powers and spiritual strength. One would begin to think, is that kind of an advertisement for other politicians? Probably other politicians who are having issues. Let's start with Ayade Tiwa from Ondo State, who is having very serious legal battles with his possible re-election, whether it will happen or not. And right now, appeal court appeal court judgment is not in his favor. Probably Supreme Court. Now he has to go to Supreme Court. And I mean, there is a pastor on the block who is saying that he has access to change Supreme Court judgments with a phone call to God. So now, to a large extent, one would say, isn't that spiritual advertisement? Well, I wouldn't want, that is not evangelism. That's evangelism. Because what the Bible says, which is the Great Commission, when Jesus, I don't go to church by the way, but then, the Bible called it, theologians call it the Great Commission. When Jesus was living, he said, go ye into the world and preach the message of salvation and preach the message.
Don't quote the Bible.
Hold on, no. Go into the world and preach the message of salvation. That was the Great Commission. The Great Commission was for people to draw people unto Christ and unto repentance. Unfortunately, what we are seeing among Christendom, especially political pastors in this country, is that they have politicized whatever calling it is that they claim to have, because right now, to a large extent, I do not see how this thing translates to people giving their lives to Christ and looking for God. What I am seeing is, politicians, you have problem. I am here. I am on speed dial to God to resolve your political issues, even if Supreme Court judgment is going to be against you. That is what it is. I do not care how highly placed anybody might claim to be in the spiritual realm.
I'm keeping quiet not because
it's a spiritual matter.
No, I'm keeping quiet because we do not want to argue. But I want to tell you that
yes,
God says go into the world and tell them that the kingdom is at hand. What is the kingdom of God? Peace, joy, righteousness. It said preach to the poor, heal the sick, deliver the oppressed. That
was Sermon on the Mount.
No. That is where Jesus. If you don't know,
the clear great is called the Great Commission.
No, excuse me.
It was very clear.
No, it is the
message of salvation.
If we don't hear, it's not salvation. Let me tell you something. What is salvation? What is salvation? Salvation is consultorial. Salvation is prosperity, peace, joy. Those are salvation. That's the meaning of salvation. Salvation is not right. So when he said go to the world, that's the commission. The commission is go to the world, preach to the poor, deliver the sick. That is Jesus telling his disciples what to do.
All right.
So it is when you will believe that only confraternity or one confraternity can make somebody go to position, you will not believe that God can make somebody go to position.
Well, as we move on to the next story, for clarification as well, go into the world and preach. What the Great Commission says was the gospel of salvation. However,
what is gospel?
Hold on, Chizzy. Hold on. However, when Jesus was giving them that instruction, he also said that these signs will follow them. So healing the poor, the healing and all of that were the signs that were to follow the people who hold on.
That's what he's saying.
Who are empowered to preach the gospel.
That's what they are doing.
So at the end of the day, the gospel is about bringing people to Christ and not to politics. But then moving forward, Chizzy, we'll still have time to argue this after this show. Moving forward.
No, I want to argue it here. So you don't put up something on the air that is not.
Chizzy, moving forward. Let's move forward to the next story. You will like this story.
Salvation is politics. Politics so go ahead.
All right, very well. House of Representatives has amended the Electoral Act 2026 to criminalize multiple political party membership in Nigeria. The amendment passed during Wednesday's plenary introduces new provisions under SEC belong to more than one political party at the same time. Under the proposed law, anyone found guilty of maintaining membership in multiple political parties could face a fine of 10 million naira, a maximum of 2 years imprisonment, or both. Lawmakers also stated that any person registered with more than one party would temporarily lose recognition as a valid member of any political party until the situation is corrected in line with the law. The amendment is aimed at strengthening the legal framework governing party affiliation and addressing the growing trend of dual party membership among politicians. Lawmakers believe the measure will promote greater discipline within political parties and improve accountability in Nigeria's electoral process. Chizzy, what is your take with regards to this? I guess when the Electoral Act, Nigerians focused, even media, everybody, myself included, we were all very focused on that 60 subsection 3, and nobody was looking at the other sections of that Electoral Act. So now it's breaking down. What is your take on this proposal by the House of Reps as well?
Firstly, if we have to put everything in the Constitution, that means we'll have a Constitution that we can carry. There are things ordinarily should be of good reason. Ordinarily should know that I can't belong to two political parties. but right now it's legal. And we didn't know that until they begin to bring it out that this thing is also illegal. But I'm not talking about what that is happening. I'm saying that there is a political tendency, there is an information they are giving to certain persons. There is an information they are giving to certain persons.
Information or a warning?
I don't know whether it's warning or
Chizzy, you always say it as it is. So say, I want you to say it as it is and not.
No, because for me, they are giving information.
Is it an information or a warning?
No, for me,
knowing that party primary is coming very soon.
No, see, the worst thing that ATN via Larisha is doing to us is to expose our secret. Because we know that there are persons who still belong to another political party that's coming to take candidacy in another political party, and the Supreme Court will bring them down. We know that. You remember one time I came here and told you that these things would really exist. So I'm not supposed to be discussing this. You should have allowed it. You know, let me tell you something that we don't know. It is when people begin to shout that you allow, there's laws. Have you noticed that if you go to buy a product, the warnings in that product is written in tiny letters. They just allow you. Until when you go to court, they begin to spell it out for you. That you are in this party, you are connecting with the other party. You are even seeking to be candidate of the other political party. And you see, first question I want to ask is, since you said we should say it, first question I want to ask is, all of these people who said they have resigned from the PDP, from which angle of the PDP have they resigned from? Those who said they have resigned from APC, which person did you give the APC? Which chairman of the party that you give it to? See, if I have to resign, first, I have to resign to a legal body.
They will now look at the validity of
your resignation letter.
Did you resign to the right
leadership? Who did you resign to? Who signed? Who
so it means that all these PDP governors that have been defecting, all these people that have been defecting up and down from PDP probably did not resign through valid leadership. I'm
not saying from PDP.
I'm using PDP as a case
study. You should use PDP. Let me tell you, the scenario with the PDP is different.
All right.
The scenario, let me tell you the scenario. If you say, okay, people have left that your party, especially the governors. You know, the governor is living with a whole lot of their people.
Yes.
So the governor already had legal people there that they can resign to. But the people begin to question are those people in ADC who left for ADC, who were members of the PDP and came to become something in ADC. The question, and then they went back to resign. You notice that only yesterday, last Friday, did Amechi come to become a member of ADC. And he said he resigned from the APC. We don't know the APC that he resigned. I don't know the APC he resigned to.
APC does not have leadership crisis today.
No, we don't.
So if he is resigning from, he needs to resign from his ward.
From his ward to the party chairman.
So now, has the ward received, you are a member of the APC State Executive Council in Rivers State.
I'm in the local government.
Now, and Honorable Amechi is also from the same local government as you,
yes.
Local government.
Yes.
Now, to the best of your knowledge, did Rotimi Amechi resign to the ward and party chairman? Have they received his resignation letter?
I won't say that.
So you don't know?
I don't. So I know what happened, but I won't say it. I know what happened, but I won't say it until that day. I don't know because I don't know what happened.
As long as you know.
I know what happened.
But you don't know.
I don't know what people are saying, but until that day. Because there hasn't been crisis. The APC case is not like you had crisis. You already have structures, right? You have structures. You have the APC chairman, you have the secretary, you have all of that. And from was 7, I'm from was 8.
Okay.
And I don't know from which ward chairman or secretary did he resign. So I don't know. Let me not say that. But I know what I know about the party until when that time comes. That's why I said this thing they are saying here shouldn't have come out. So
it's a law that they are proposing, actually.
It's a law. It's a law, but whether that thing was a law or not, the fact that, let me tell you something, ordinarily, you can't, for you to be a member of this party when you were in this party, you should have resigned from this party.
Before being the member of
the other party. So if you resign here, whether they accept it or not is not a problem. As long as
you've tendered your resignation to the right person.
To the right person. Then you now go and register again to the right ADC. So these two situations, both in the ADC and here, we need to know who did you even go to register with in this ADC.
Because ADC, there are two leaderships in ADC.
We have only one leadership in ADC.
In APC?
No, in APC we have. In ADC we have one. We have one in the local government. We have the chairman, we have the world chairman, we know them.
Okay.
And we don't know whether they also, maybe the ADC they're talking about is not the ADC we know. But if it's this ADC we know, somebody may not have resigned here and have not entered here.
So, to a large extent, this proposal by...
They should quickly run. You know, they can run now and begin to do the right thing. You can go there and say, okay, I'll resign, then go back there and begin to do other things with another political parties. That's not a problem.
But to a large extent, this will stop a lot of people, like using parties as plan A and plan B. Right, so I'll be here and I'll be here, just like P2B, for example, who has been dilly-dallying with the ADC for the longest, but still a card-carrying member of Labour Party. So everybody was literally, I think, obedience at some point, they were confused as to where to pitch their tent, right? Because he will come out and tell you, I'm a member of Labour Party. Clearly, Nenadi Usman will tell you, that Obi is still a member of the party. But you see Obi very active in ADC activities, right? And then one would say, what exactly is going on? So to a large extent, this will stop that rascality from politicians.
Yes.
Correct?
Be where you are. And you know what? After you have picked form, you know why it's going to be a very complex situation. After you have picked form in the party you said you, and if you don't get, as soon as you pick form and you don't get the ticket, you can't go back to another political party.
That's not what it says in this.
No, that's
because last time I checked, political parties give waiver, don't they?
No. They give the waiver.
I understand what you mean.
No, yes. Waiver is even if you come today, the national executive of the party can sit and give you waiver. Waiver is we are not going to say you must have stayed so long.
To waive certain bureaucracies in the constitution that would have held you back.
Yeah, but that is not when you have picked form and have gone for screening of the other party. The law does not even allow you to take contest again.
Let me understand. Let's rewind back to 2023.
Yes.
In what happened with P2B and PDP, because last time I checked, they bought form for him, didn't they?
They bought form for him.
Forms were bought, and then when it didn't go the way he wanted, he moved to Labour Party.
No, he didn't start the process.
He didn't start it, but forms were picked. But he did not start that process.
Yes.
Okay.
But if you start the process of election is first, they call you for screening. As soon as you attend that screening, you start the process.
Interesting.
So you can't leave.
So if I understand, what is going to play out in the ADC is because Atiku's camp is insisting on delegate congress for the emergence of the party's flag bearer. Yes. So now, if that is going to be the case, Amechi is insisting he's running for presidency and will not deputize anybody. Obi is saying he will run for presidency. We have Atiku also in the run. Is there a fourth man that I'm missing? So far, these three people. And there are talks ongoing, but we do not know who will capitulate and who will not. But let's just go with these three persons. These three persons pick the forms, start the process of the primaries, and then probably at the end of the day, the party ticket goes to someone else. It means that the two people, the primaries, cannot defect to contest in another political party?
No.
Is this enshrined in the Electoral Act?
It is.
I need to go and research it.
Yes, go and research it. It is. No, it's not like it doesn't need a new law. You can't do that. But if you, for instance, you wanted to pick up this thing, you can say no, I'm no longer picking up. In law, even if you pick up your form, it's like me saying I want to run for president. Until you are called for screening. That's why Obi quickly didn't allow that.
What would say to a large extent that at this time Obi needs to sit back and really calculate properly, because
if he wants to be on the ballot,
if we are to go back to political history, Atiku and Tinubu at some point worked together, right?
Yes.
Atiku and Tinubu at some point worked. Well, let me not just say the conspiracy theory in my head, but I just feel that all these people should be very careful about how it's going to pan out with the ADC in the coming days.
The name ADC is Atiku Dynasty. There is nothing else.
So you think Obi does not stand a chance emerging as presidential candidate in ADC?
But excuse me.
You think Atiku will not be able to step down his ambition for Obi or Amici?
No.
Why do you say this?
Firstly, by political hierarchy or something, Atiku feels entitled. He feels entitled. These are not, quote unquote, his political mates. They are not anything. He feels, I brought these people, let me give them weight.
And it's Atiku coalition before it became ADC.
Before it became ADC, the Atiku who did all that. Without even the Atiku elect, all these things won't be flying. Do you understand? You can that day, Atiku met with the Eastern Caucus of the ADC. In his house, they met with Eastern Caucus of the ADC. So he's meeting with the Southern Caucus of the ADC.
How is that going to play out with the South after they have endorsed Amici, and that endorsement became controversial? Because you see, some people from still the same South were speaking against the endorsement by Odige Oyegun and others in Edo State. And this was just shortly after Obi left Odige Oyegun and that shootout that happened.
Yeah.
I think that was roughly a week after he left, and then Amici now visited and Amici was endorsed. I'm like, okay, interesting. Let's see how this is going to pan out. And then you now see the ADC National Publicity Secretary, who is from the South, coming out to say that consultation does not translate to endorsement.
Don't push me, because I did one the other day and it's been certain level. I don't want to talk about all of that. Obi came and they were shooting, and then just after that, so another person came, they endorsed the person. And then all of you were accusing PDP, right? Accusing APC of that shooting, right? Now
another incoming presidential candidate came and there was shooting. So meanwhile, it was internal crisis, and it came to a particular faction, not the other faction.
The other faction. So I understand, but let me tell you here, Oyegun is a very respected person and intelligent, but he does not have the political force.
In Edo State and in ADC.
In Edo State and in ADC, he does not. He does not have a political force. It's not like the Anenes. Then, the later Anenes that he does not have that force. That force is lacking. Yes, he has a name, but people know that is not a force. That's not a force you need for that kind of endorsement.
So you see a possible implosion coming in ADC?
No, yes, of course. You see, I was a little bit careful not to say it, but you need to play your game up. You need to play your game up to be picked as running mate. That's what it's about.
Running mate, not even presidential candidate. Interesting. Moving forward to PDP crisis, Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has declared that his faction of the People's Democratic Party remains firmly in control of the party's structure. Speaking at the National Executive Committee meeting organized by Abdulrahman Mohammed-led faction in Abuja, Wike said his camp would only engage in reconciliation from a position of strength. The former Rivers State governor also dismissed claims that his role in the APC-led federal government makes him a mole within the PDP, noting that those who accused him have since defected to the ruling party. Wike urged those calling for peace to present clear proposals and avoid what he described as secret negotiations. Wike further insisted that the party's planned national convention would go ahead as scheduled, rejecting suggestions to create another committee. While acknowledging ongoing disagreements within the party, he maintained that the PDP would overcome its crisis and remain a strong political force. Chizi, what is your take on this?
Well, firstly, the Court of Appeal has given them judgment.
In the favor of the FCT minister's camp.
That means they're coming from a position of strength. That's what it means. And if he's saying that the convention should go ahead, what he's saying is, no, I don't want another caretaker. After all, he's comfortable with the man there. They could say, okay, please continue. He said, no, allow, because you see, when you allow national convention, you also allow other persons to come in and get. Don't know what I say, because he knows that if you don't organize this national convention now, people are not calculating on the timing before the primaries and other elections.
There needs to be a national convention for primaries to hold.
So if you don't do that now, when will you now begin to organize your convention
and meet up with INEC timeline?
INEC timeline. So they need to do it.
And e-registration.
To
submit registers to INEC. And they have this month to do that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, so you see, and they wanted a robust negotiation. Like what he said, if you're coming, because of course there was one of instances where somebody came to negotiating with them and then went to a Badan, convention and all of that. They said, no, don't do that. If you're negotiating, negotiate, please stop, let's do something. Right now, I can tell you that I told you last time, I said, a united PDP, even now, that if PDP is united and all of the court cases is averted, that PDP will appear better in this election than any of these political parties you are seeing. And that's what's going to happen. That's exactly what is going to happen. But from what I'm seeing, you see that there are certain candidates that are not leaving PDP. Because you can't leave PDP because even the APC needs opposition.
But then when you look at the body language of Sheyi Makinde, his faction of the PDP, they appear, do you think that they are willing to negotiate?
Well, for Sheyi Makinde, in politics, what you see today might not be what you see tomorrow. When it's becoming too obvious that
you cannot win.
It's either you negotiate or you go back to that place. You also know politicians are intelligent. They will understand that, look, if I go here, this will crash.
But Turaki has gone to Supreme Court.
Of course, yes.
To contest the judgment of
but that's their right. But that they have gone to Supreme Court does not mean that these people will not continue to do what they are doing. It is the Supreme Court that will say no to what they have said, isn't it? So why going to Supreme Court? Because if you also don't go to Supreme Court, let me tell you something about politics. If you're not in the Supreme Court, your negotiating skill will not be strong. You'll be beggarly. But if you also go to Supreme Court, even though these people also know that they won the court appeal,
they don't know how Supreme Court judgment will pan out.
So
we want to negotiate.
Negotiating may go like 40 to people, 60 to us. But if you don't go, they will just give you 10%.
Then one would say this negotiation is going to be tricky, because now from the story, FCT minister is not willing to create another caretaker committee. Now, for that negotiation, I am expecting that the Makinde's camp, part of what they will propose will be for a creation of a new caretaker committee that will incorporate their own faction and the FCT minister's faction. But now, if they reconcile without having their own persons represented in the committee, and probably if they don't reconcile in time for that Congress, it means that they are completely out of the leadership and circle of influence in PDP. How do you see that playing out?
Yes, that's correct. You see, what some people are pushing is, okay, let's extend it a little bit. We could, as a lawyer, Wike is a tactician, you know, he also understands what will happen to them in INEC. Do you understand? But negotiating for an executive position, not the caretaker, can be done on the day of the convention.
How so?
Yes. You know, what do you want? For instance, we can come and say, okay, you bring this side, bring the party chairman, they don't bring party secretary, they don't bring this and all of that. Most of the conventions we have gone as politicians, you'll find that delegates will be waiting.
Okay.
Leaders will go in and argue before you know it. All the leaders will come back and say, we are voting for this person for this place, we are voting for this person for this place. It's been negotiated. Then you begin to see some people say, I drop, I step down. These are negotiations, the process of negotiation. Then you see conventions sometimes, it delays into the night. That's because leaders are there. Now, especially this one. From now to that convention, you will see a whole lot of meetings. There will be convention, consultations, lobbying. But let's do this thing like this. See, why we can't extend these things. He wants to tell them this and this. Be careful. So we don't negotiate, we don't extend and then wound ourselves finally. If we have to be relevant, we have to do it within this window. Do you also know that APC convention is coming up on 26, the same period? That means there is a timeline for this convention. So if you extend, PDP may not be on the pilot.
When is Labour Party convention coming?
I don't know. I'm not a member of Labour Party.
Because they are not, anyway. Now, to a large extent, do you think, I will ask you again, seeing the position that the Makinde faction of PDP has taken so far, do you see possibility of settlement? Because, I mean, this settlement, there have been several conversations, don't forget, several agreements that the FCT minister accused certain persons of renegading, right? Closed door agreements, then much later they do different things, then the whole reconciliation will break down again. Do you think that this time around is going to work? But then I'm considering the position or the body language of the Sheyi Makinde-led faction of PDP.
Okay, let me say it in three ways.
Yes.
First is that the weakest faction of the PDP does not need the Makinde faction of the PDP to succeed. First, they should know that.
Okay.
With or without them, they will succeed. I told you before now that one of the things that PDP has succeeded is to remove those who are a problem to PDP. I told you that before. Now, that's number one. Then number two is the man Wike is somebody, Chizi or Masla, I don't trust when it comes to forgiveness.
Why do you say you don't trust him?
Wike is not a hardliner. Like, because we were having issues or because we had disagreement, I should say, okay, no, I'm going to take all. He will never do that. The Wike I know. In fact, I can tell you that, you know, there was something we were discussing within us, and we were praying, God, please don't let this man come to Wike to say, I'm sorry. Let this man not say, I'm sorry. He will just say, Kai, let's do this thing, this politics, that is politics, let's come together.
And that has played out. It
has played out over and over. We keep saying it, and we know that he will do it. He does not take that hard line when his friends or something, you know, because they've had issues, come back to say, let's do this thing together. He does not take that hard line. Because he also believes that he can fight you back if you do anything. So in negotiating this, he will be shocked when Wike will say, guys, we are still one. Do you want to make this person irrelevant? Allow them, can they bring this one, we'll bring this one, bring this one, we'll bring this one. Check and balance, let's check and balance. And this thing will end in just 2 hours, it's all over. And then they go back. And you see him dancing with all of them. He has that, that's why he's succeeding. There are persons that I know in this state, that when you have offended in 1980, they remember it now. And not, you will never, they will never, but Wike will hand over. Check out of those people that Wike is at hand over powers to. So it's not about, I know when you do such things like that, even God allows you grace to go ahead. So for me, this whole thing is happening this weekend, the other weekend. 29 from 26 to 29, there'll be a lot of power game. There'll be a lot of power game. We can tell you, don't forget that Makinde was also his friend.
So that sentiment is
We
still there.
don't forget
His friends,
what you have done for him anytime. He does not forget it. He will say, boy, that's what he did.
but then one will say, despite the extent of the crisis, both Makinde and Wike has been, I observed it personally, both Makinde and Wike have been very careful with choice of words when they are referring to themselves. In fact, it appears that Wike tries so hard. Wike can attack any other person, other faction, but he throws the other way. He doesn't address Makinde, rarely addressed Makinde directly.
Yeah.
And Makinde as well, even though has made one or two addresses, was also not harsh and didn't go all out. I observed it personally. I'm like, okay, could these two people actually be playing some sort of script for Nigerians to keep us engaged?
It may not be that, but it's just that, we have been in the trenches together.
Okay.
We've worked together. Don't forget that Makinde again was off out for Wike's candidacy in that election, right? So we have worked out together. We did all of these things together. So we can always ask, why would we be fighting this way? But that does not mean that we won't have different positions.
Right.
And these are different positions. I'm leading this angle, you are leading this angle. Let us fight it. But at the point, they'll come back, you'll see that I don't want to, for want of mentioning his name, Wike said something about somebody one day. He said, don't mind him. One thing I like about him is, even though he is that way, he's very truthful.
All right. So you believe that in this reconciliation that everybody is hoping will happen, that the friendship that existed formerly between Wike and Seyi Makinde will come to play?
Even higher.
It will come to play.
Yes, sure.
All right. Hopefully, Nigerians are looking for a very strong opposition to the APC come 2027. So probably, our fingers crossed. And we'll bring you updates on PDP reconciliation and in-depth analysis as the stories unfold. Thank you so much, Cizi, for coming on Open Conversation. It's a pleasure having you today.
Thank you for attacking me.
And thank you so much, our viewers, for always staying connected to us. And this is where we wrap it up on this episode of Open Conversation. I'll see you at the same time tomorrow. I remain Laurentia Ogu. Bye for now.